Okay, so we are technically live now, but I'm finishing putting it on social media. But we are back, and we are gonna. I guess now we just talk about all things Star Wars whenever they happen. So we're gonna talk about the Acolyte trailer, and then we're gonna talk about Bad Batch because that's also what we like to talk about.
Mhm.
So I'm joined as always by Shayla Brown. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm not enjoying this weather. It's really cold, and my room doesn't have insulation either, so I'm kind of just cold. But we're dealing with it. I have blankets.
Yeah, it's Canada for you in the spring apparently too now. So
Uh-huh.
it's
Yay.
always fun.
Always a mystery.
Yes. So speaking of mysteries, there you go. Look at that. I
Excellent
want to know what
segue.
you. Thank you. I want to know what you thought about the Acolyte trailer, which we got a few days ago.
I mean, I'm really excited for it. I think as a blind person, I mean, I'm very lucky that Disney Plus releases their trailers with audio description, which isn't something that is normal for streaming services. It's not. So I was really happy to see that it did. And the minute it was up on social media, it was also up on the app with audio description, so I could watch it and actually get something out of it. But like again, audio description for trailers is really tricky because there are so many fast moving shots that it like cannot possibly have time to analyze everything. But I'm just excited to explore something that's out of the Skywalker saga, and is very much before that. I'm 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 just starting to read the High Republic now. I've just started Light of the Jedi. Um,
Yay!
so yeah, I have no idea what I'm getting into, but I'm very excited.
Now, I as you said, I think you said on Twitter, I'm more of the expert on the High Republic stuff because I've been deep in the mythology and stuff since the first books came out. Now the interesting thing is I did do some research because I wanted to just make sure I was right about this. So this does technically start 100 years before the Clone War or before the Phantom Menace, right? Which
Hmm.
means it does come after every High Republic book and thing to date. So
Oh, I didn't
everything
know that.
with the High Republic, it leads we have nothing after this yet until like further in the future. The only known events around this is like there's some event from a Star Wars cookbook,
Mhm.
and there's a few other like weird small events. There's nothing, so we don't really know, and that's why this is an interesting time, is because we literally have no context for what's going on.
That's exciting.
Yeah. Now,
It's like
I
a
don't know if you
whole new
have you
canon.
and whole new like kind of time like people, right? Like the type of people that are me around with like their whole new thing, right?
Hmm.
Now, I don't know. You're very much with this online culture. I don't know if you've seen any of the reactions to this trailer from people on the internet.
I feel like a lot of the people I have seen already saw the trailer at Celebration. Um, but I feel like High Republic fans are their own type of Star Wars fan because like there are some Star Wars fans who are just like immersed into the whole High Republic and are just very excited for the show. Um, for the most part, I've seen positive reactions. Um, I mean, that could also be, my algorithm on social media, knowing that I like to have to keep things positive. Um, but yeah, I mean, I've only seen a few people who are like, "Ugh, Star Wars is dead," which, comes around every time there's a thing. So.
Ooh. Oh, I've got to. Okay, so I got to tell you this thing. So you know what's funny? So in the '70s, okay, everyone said Star Wars was dead because the holiday special came out.
The
So
holiday.
when in I'm telling you though, people were saying Star Wars was dead when the holiday special came out, and then when the Return of the Jedi came out, people were saying Star Wars is dead because Ewoks killed it. And then when the Clone Wars movie came out in 2008 ish, people said Star Wars was dead because the Clone Wars movie killed it. And then obviously got the Clone Wars TV show, and everyone said Star Wars is back. And before that, I guess, did you know that people said Star Wars was dead when the Phantom Menace came out?
That doesn't surprise me, considering.
Or sorry, no, people said it was back alive. So they said it was dead when Attack of the Clones came out, the next movie. That's when they said it was dead. Yeah.
I mean, the prequel era was hated by many.
But
so that doesn't
then we got
surprise
Revenge
me.
of the Sith, which was amazing. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
Star Wars is always dead. It's always in a state of being dead, right? And then they said, you know, Solo killed Star Wars, and yet here we are. We still got more Star Wars. So
Yeah.
people say Star Wars is dead. It always is dead, like you're saying. It just comes back to life.
Yeah.
So,
y'all are being so dramatic.
Now the other thing, there's this interesting Twitter thread I saw, because I don't know if our Canadian friend, I don't like calling him our friend because I don't like him, but you know the
Oh
person who
boy.
knows,
Oh god.
yeah,
Him. It's this
he
clip
had
too we were talking about.
he had some thoughts, and he was getting mad about
boy.
retconning the prequels because the prequels are this gem right now. So there's this interesting thread which was put up by somebody who likes Star Wars, like us, and thinks Star Wars is good, about how the Acolyte might not retcon the prequels because you know how in the prequels they say the Sith have been extinct for a millennium, and so everyone's like, well, if you see Sith now, then how can they be extinct for a millennium? Because 100 years is, you know, is not a millennium, right?
Yeah.
So the thing that there's a few things he says, but one of the things is that the Jedi showed a weakness to sense the Sith long before the Sith kind of like really showed up again, right? Like we know when Palpatine was kind of like being the Chancellor, they were not strong enough to sense him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was still a Sith, right? We don't disagree with that part, right?
Yeah.
And so it is very likely that the Jedi can even believe they killed the Sith, right? Or the Sith kind of popped up in remnants and they killed the Sith. But the Sith could still be like that doesn't change the fact that the Sith could still be alive, right? And so you have to have them in the background somehow because they don't just appear, right? They have been alive, then they allegedly disappear for millennia, and then they show up again. So obviously they are alive, and we don't know what kind of connection this is going to have to the main Jedi Order, right? Like we haven't seen any of the main people. We've seen some hints potentially at them, but like there's so many different like Force users and Sith lords, so to speak, right? Like you think about it, right? Anyone could take the title. No, there's no one say you can't call yourself a Sith Lord, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the one other last thing, and then I'm going to stop ranting about this stuff. I love the High Republic era. The last thing is, so the one thing you're going to learn very quickly with the High Republic stuff, there's a very big theme of cults, right? There's a lot of people who love like the Force cult thing is like a really big thing in the High Republic era.
Mm-hmm.
And you cannot convince me that if you look, if the Sith have this like storied history, the fact that there would not be people who would take on that mantle, even if it was kind of being part of a cult, is ridiculous. Because of course they would, right? Like that's kind of like that's literally the High Republic thing is like all the villains are like basically cult members. So you're telling me like this could be a Sith cult? We don't know what do you mean by Sith? Like Sith is a very weird concept. So yeah, anyways, that was it because our friend did a 2-hour long video about how this High Republic thing is going to be bad. So you know,
I'm so
2-minute trailer, 2 hours. Yeah, I didn't because I hate myself. I guess I don't know, but yeah.
Clearly. I mean, I hate myself too, but I have some self-worth. Mainly because if I kept him unblocked, I would be replying and saying like, I wouldn't be able to keep my mouth shut, and for my preservation, because I don't want to interact with people who disagree with me, and maybe that's awful. I don't want to interact with those kind of people. I don't reply, or I try not to.
Well, especially the people who think that only one gender can watch Star Wars.
Yeah, they wouldn't even listen to me. They'd call me
exactly
crazy.
because you're not allowed to watch Star Wars because
I'm not allowed to watch
you're not
Star
a man
Wars.
and
Go back
men
into
can
the
only watch
kitchen.
Star Wars. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Because even though you could technically watch Star Wars from the kitchen, I mean, you know, phones exist now, right? You know,
yeah.
I don't know. Anyways, so yeah, I don't know what else. What are you hoping for from the Acolyte? Is there anything you specifically want to see?
I think I'm just excited to see Jedi in their prime because the High Republic era is when they were, and like I know we get to see kind of a bunch of Jedi all at once in the Clone Wars, but like I feel like this will be like a big thing in live action. Um, Granted, we did see a bit of it in Attack of the Clones, but I'm excited to see more of that because it's not something we get to see often because a lot of the stuff we have is after the Jedi are gone. So I'm excited to see that.
Now, I do have to say, I'm happy we're getting lightsabers back in Star Wars because it's been a minute since we've. I mean, I guess Ahsoka. I like. You know what I mean, though. I like a lots
Yeah.
of lightsabers, not just one person with light. You know what I mean? Like it's been a minute since we had. Like I think Obi-Wan. I guess is the last time you'd say there were a lot of people with lightsabers in Star Wars, and then before that, I mean, I guess the Rise of Skywalker. I mean,
Mhm.
it's been a minute. I'm happy we're getting like Jedi stuff back because Jedi and Sith. That's what makes Star Wars amazing. Like I love the bounty hunter stuff. I love all the Andor stuff and all
Mhm.
that other stuff. But man, I want some lightsabers. This is what I
Yeah.
want from Star Wars. So
Yeah.
I'm happy we're getting that back.
And also just like
Now,
getting to see the Jedi Temple and like
yeah,
just Jedi practices and like that's just so interesting. I love the world building because it makes me more invested and intrigued.
and we'll get some. We'll get some things like babe. Not a baby, but like because that term's taken on a whole nother meaning now. But like young Yoda, right, or younger
Yeah,
Yoda.
younger Yoda.
Because Yoda's like 700 years old. So like we know that
Yeah.
they can't be actually baby. Although there is a theory that Grogu could be a newborn in this, and we're making something about Grogu because if you think about it, right, Grogu's like 100 years. Let's just is a I don't know how old he is,
He's
but
50.
I saw is he? Oh damn!
Yeah. They say in The
Because we know he was
Mandalorian that he's 50.
well, maybe that's something I'd be okay if they retcon because I mean, like we know he was there in episode 3 when Anakin stormed the temple, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
I saw a tweet which said, oh, we might see Grogu. I didn't do any research beyond that, so I mean, I don't know. I like the idea of seeing Grogu though because that would be fun to like see kind of more of the origins of Grogu, which we may not get.
Hmm.
So I don't know, but that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the Bad Batch.
Right.
So I woke up this morning and I turned on the show. And to be honest with you, I really wanted to record a thing right there because I wanted to know what you thought of this episode. Because this episode was everything you could have possibly like. This is everything you asked for in a show.
This
So
was.
I'm gonna give you the floor. What did you think of the episode, which seems like it was just made for you?
Oh my god, I there was a clip that was released the day before and it had Fennec and I was like, I knew it. I called it. I knew like something about the title Bad Territory just to me was like Fennec Shan's going to be in this episode. And I was
Yep.
correct and I felt very proud of myself. But I also really like how the last two episodes have been very plot heavy and very like we have to move along this much broader bigger plot, and I feel like we needed some time away from that because if we just kept going we weren't going to get these opportunities to have these more quiet moments, particularly between Omega and Crosshair. I think we needed to slow down a bit but still have something for Hunter and Wrecker to do. And I think that was a really fun mission, that they went on with Fennec Shand, and also just like getting to see their dynamics, having to work for her. I was rolling around in my seat, just like enjoying the whole thing. It was great for me, and I loved it.
So it was interesting because I am going to say I think I also got something right here with Crosshair and with what his hand problem is, and I think it's looking more and more like I am to some
You're,
extent at least right
yeah, you're
about
correct.
how it's a mental thing and how he has to figure out who he is. And I do have a hunch that in the next few episodes, at some point, he's going to really need to hit something on target and it's going to click for him. I
Hmm.
do think that's going to be an accurate prediction, especially now that he's had to learn how to or tried to meditate a little bit.
Hmm.
Now, I do want to skip to the end of the episode real quick. We'll get back to the actual episode.
Okay.
So I don't know what we're saying. I don't know what we think here. But
I
was
can't
Fennec
tell.
talking to Ventress?
I think so. That's what I want. That's what I hope
I
because
want that too.
I sat there and like my knee jerk reaction was to be like, "Oh my god, she just ratted them out."
Ventress.
Like,
Yeah, to Ventress. And Ventress now gonna
yeah,
hunt them down. Yeah.
yeah. But like, is she friend or is she foe? Is Fennec actually holding her end of the bargain and going to get them information, or did she just rat them out to someone bad? I don't know.
Okay, I think you're right, but I think both things you said are right. Can I explain how?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So I think in her, because she's a little bit crazy, right? I think in her way, she's like, look, this person who is, to some extent involved with the whole plot, they're not going to just give me information, obviously, right?
Hmm.
But you know what they will do? They will really give out. I trust the Bad Batch. They're very good at that, doing their thing. If
Hmm.
I send this potentially maybe venturous person after them, they'll stop her, they'll capture her, and they'll finally get the answers they need. I can't really because she's not really in a position where she can just demand answers. But what she
Hmm.
can do, she can lead the person who has the answers to the Bad Batch, allow them to capture, or in her mind at least, allow them to capture her and get the answers that they do need in on their own, right? Because I don't think she's someone who's going to just help them like that. Because I don't think she can. Like, I don't know if that is Ventress. What is Fennec going to do? Like, I love Fennec. I don't think she's going to be able to take down Ventress,
No,
and interrogate her for answers,
no.
right?
Yeah.
I think more likely she's like, you know what? You want someone to come help you get answers? Well, this person is going to try to capture Omega. Here's where Omega is. Go do that. And then they're going to capture Ventress or whoever it is, and they're going to get the answers they need. I think it's kind of both.
Hmm. Hmm. I agree. I think that's very possible. Another
Now,
another theory that I saw online was that Ventress was working with Quinlan on the path, which is something we saw in Kenobi,
ooh,
where they protected Force sensitive children. And if she has something to do with protecting, M count targets from the Empire, she might be like kind of hunting them and taking them to locations on the path so that they're safe. And maybe thinking that Omega is one of them. I don't
which
know.
she is.
Yeah.
So I do like that. I don't know. I don't want Ventress to be good though. I want Ventress to be bad.
Yeah,
That's my
I
one
think
thing.
I think it's interesting to think about, and I don't know. I think either way would be cool. I don't know.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna be disappointed if Ventress is good because I'm okay if she ends up being good. I want her to start off bad because that's what we like. We saw Ventress as bad. If she's gonna become good, all good. I'm good at that. But you have to show that she's becoming good. Like you can't it's kind of like with Darth Maul, right? They the weirdest thing for with Rebels was the fact that Darth Maul, like at the beginning, at least seemed like he was a good guy,
Mhm.
and it was good that he wasn't a good guy because I think that would have ruined his character.
Mhm.
By the way, a quick question, just sidebar here, quickly. So I was having an argument with someone, okay, about what the best Star Wars show is, and I was like, well, it's obviously the Clone Wars, right? And I was getting a lot of pushback about Rebels being better than the Clone Wars. What is your view on this? Because I'm interested in what you have to think of this.
Um, I think God, it's hard because like I think when I think the Clone Wars is great and I think Rebels is great. Um, it's hard because the Clone Wars is 7 seasons and some of the like when it's good, it's great.
But when
Um,
it's bad, it's slow.
yeah, and there's a lot of slow that you have to work through to get through it. And I
That's what the
wish
people who were
someone,
arguing for Rebels were saying.
huh?
That's what the people who arguing for Rebels were saying. Like they're like, oh, well, and it's slow, and Rebels doesn't have those moments.
Yeah, but I feel like the characters in Clone Wars are more intriguing to me. But I also think like I don't know. I think that the Clone Wars it's so big that it's like hard to compare to anything else because like of how big the content is.
And at the end of the day, it's all Star Wars, and it's all great. I was interested to see if you had like a strong opinion either way. I don't know.
I can see where both sides are coming from, and I think it does come down to personal preference in the end. I think for me, I'd have to say Clone Wars.
That's
Um,
fair. That's what I
yeah,
said.
but I would understand another person's point of view inside. Um, but it's hard to compare like any of the Star Wars shows, honestly, like in terms of like which one's better, because like they're all so
Oh,
different.
that's easy. Ahsoka's the best live action show. Clone Wars is the best animated show, and A New Hope's the best movie. That's easy. But at the same time, they're all amazing, and like it when we're talking about like when I say one thing is the best, that is a very thin line because there's no such thing as a bad like there has never been anything bad Star Wars. Now I think probably the worst Star Wars was probably like Attack of the Clones, but there's never been bad Star Wars.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I mean I've chosen to I don't know like the Resistance, I guess that show is garbage, but like I choose to ignore that. And
I haven't watched
you know,
that show.
don't watch it. It's so bad. I couldn't even get through it. It was so awful. Don't watch it.
It got canceled,
But
so I
yeah,
was like, well, what's the point? I'm not gonna start something that's not finished. So
yeah, no, don't. But like, there's no such thing as bad Star Wars. There's just some amazing Star Wars, and there's some like pretty good Star Wars. It's still great. It's just different. Um,
yeah,
yeah. Now back to the Bad Batch. What did you think of the mantis creature villain dude?
it was creepy. I hated the way it sounded.
Yeah, I,
When it started
I,
making noises, I was out of there. I was like, that's disgusting. Kill it.
yeah, I was like, I really wanted them to like really like. I didn't want them to just stun it. I wanted them to actually kill it. I don't know. I didn't love the fact that they didn't actually kill. Also, how did it resist so many stuns?
I don't know. Maybe it had some like protective coating on it.
That's weird. Like that thing is not big enough or strong enough to be able to resist like 7 stun blasts. I don't know. That was another thing I was kind of like I don't know about that one.
I don't know. I didn't like it. It was gross.
Yeah. Now, what about Omega going to Kashyyyk at some point? I don't know. Have we seen that? I don't think we saw that.
Yeah, we did. It was in
We
season
did?
2. Yeah.
Really?
Remember when
Oh
she
wow.
found Gunji?
Oh wait, I do. You're right. That I thought I. Okay, you're right. Yeah, never mind.
Yeah, they brought him
Did
back
she learn to
home.
meditate?
Yeah, he taught her how to meditate at the end.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn. I'm telling you, when this is done, I'm gonna go back and rewatch the entire Bad Batch
Yeah,
all
you're
at
gonna have
once.
to rewatch it.
Because because like when I watched every season when they came out, right? And I was like, I don't remember any of it now. Like, to be honest with you, I do not remember half the story arcs in this show. It's all blended together, and it's like I'm like kind of like Crosshair, and I'm like, oh wait, that happened? Huh? Did they show us?
it Yeah, I remember because it's one of my comfort shows and I rewatch it constantly, so I know exactly what people are talking about now.
Yeah, I gotta go back and I gotta rewatch it. Oh, okay, here's another one that's gonna make you like feel pain inside as I ask you to do this. Rank main characters of anime shows. So Ezra, Ahsoka, and Omega. Yeah, yeah, I
Um,
know.
rank them?
Yeah, from best to worst, and by worst I mean like the least best.
Okay.
It's okay. I know this hurts you.
Personally for me, I really resonate and connect with the character of Omega, and the journey
Okay.
that she's gone on. So I'm gonna put her at number 1. Um, I
Yeah.
also I also really resonate with the character of Ahsoka. I see a lot of myself in her. And I think, we get 7 seasons with her in the Clone Wars. I mean, minus the
And
one
then
season.
more seasons, and then her own show, and then all the other stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and she's just wonderful in all of it. And I think she's just like so interesting. And we have a book about her, and like it was so cool to be in her head. So I'm gonna put her there. Although, like, her and Omega could be switched on like a different day depending on how I'm feeling, because they both like mean so much to me. Um, Ezra, I love you, but
But no, not even
yeah,
close. Is not.
yeah.
Tell me. Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you. So when I saw this thing being discussed, right? In my mind, I was like, okay, it's Ahsoka number one. I don't care what you do with the rest of them. And like, I love both Ezra and Omega. But honestly, like it's probably Ahsoka, Omega, Ezra. But like
Mhm.
the distance between Ahsoka and Omega and Ezra, and the distance between Omega and Ezra, being honest, is massive. Like Ezra is probably the least compelling main character of the three. And
I agree.
I love Ezra, but the fact that like Zeb and Sabine and Kanan and Hera and Chopper all outshine him in his own show. Like
Yeah.
the one thing about Omega is Omega outshines at least 90% of the characters in the Bad Batch. The only
Mhm.
arguments are like Wrecker, Crosshair, and
Okay.
Hunter, right? Like those are the only three where they that you could argue they consistently maybe outshine Omega.
Mhm.
But Ezra gets outshined by literally the entire crew of the Ghosts, also Callus, also like Thrawn, also like Ahsoka, also Darth Maul. Like Ezra's not the even close to the best character in his own show.
Yeah, there are so many, in my opinion, there are so many more compelling characters in Rebels, including the entire Ghost crew. Um, so
Including the
yeah,
ship itself is more compelling than Ezra is.
yeah, yeah. He just didn't really speak to me the way the others did, and like, maybe that's because I'm a woman and I don't see a lot of myself in Ezra. I
I'm a
think when we
man, I don't
first
see any of
meet him,
myself in Ezra.
yeah, I think when we first meet him, he's a very young and immature boy, and he does grow, but I still there are more arcs that I enjoy.
I just don't think he's interesting. Like I think he's just kind of the bland character, kind of middle character who is like, yeah, he's there. Like he kind of felt more like a plot device than a character. Like the coolest thing they did with him was kind of like when they gave him the haircut and kind of made him a villain,
Mhm,
like kind of like a partial villain. Like I thought that was
mhm,
cool, but like there's never anything like special. Like he was never special, right? Omega's special, right?
mhm,
Ahsoka at the time was special, right? She was a special Jedi, right? She
mhm,
was someone who, like she was skilled, like Obi-Wan, right? Obi-Wan's a special Jedi, like not the chosen one necessarily, but special Jedi.
mhm.
So like, you know, he kind of wasn't the best Jedi. The canon was better than him as being a Jedi. He wasn't the best fighter. Like, what was he the best at? I don't know. Like, he wasn't the best fighter. He wasn't the best, like, navigator. He wasn't the best fight like pilot. He wasn't the best. Like he just wasn't good at it. Like he was the best at anything. He was just okay. And he
Yeah,
sucked at a lot of things. Sabine was better than him. Honestly, Sabine was probably was a better lightsaber fighter than he was.
mhm. And I find her arc with like the dark saber more interesting than like
Oh,
any of us
absolutely,
did.
absolutely, without a doubt. Yeah. Now, speaking of the Bad Batch, which was the show we started talking about, was there? I mean, was there anything else in this episode?
Um, I don't know. I think that I'm going to see people who are going to come out and call this episode filler because it didn't advance the plot in a major big way. To which I say,
Yes.
go, please
No, but
leave.
so this is the thing. I think it is. I believe. I mean, this was obviously a filler episode. I also don't think that's a problem. Like I like when you like the characters of a show. I think filler episodes are great. Like the problem with filler episodes is when you do like 7 of them in a row.
Hmm.
Filler episodes. There's no. I have no issues with filler episodes. Filler episodes are good because they give you character moments. Like some of the best character moments come from filler episodes,
I,
right?
I I agree, and I think that the word filler gets misused to
Yeah.
mean boring for a lot of people.
Filler episodes just mean there's an episode which doesn't really relate to the main plot, which is just kind of there as like a tangent. That's okay. Some
Yeah,
great moments come from that. I now again, if the Bad Batch now for the next 7 episodes does filler, I'm gonna be very annoyed. Of course, like I think you would be annoyed too. I mean, I
yeah,
do still want to see it happen as the main plot, but
yeah,
I think and this did, by the way, still advance the main plot in a more substantial way than most filler episodes do
yeah.
because presumably, again, assuming like Ventress or someone who is connected, like this is all related to the M Town journey. Yeah, it was a little bit different. The Mandalorian, by the way, is a show of a show of filler plot of filler episodes. Like season 2 of the Mandalorian is just filler episode, filler episode, filler episode. Like and
That's
yeah, so I don't
everyone's
think
favorite. That's everyone's favorite season.
I hated season 2 personally. Like
It's
again,
not,
hate
it's not my
relative
favorite.
to yeah. I thought there were too many cameos and too many weird things. Like season 1 was great. Season 3 was okay. I think it kind of like its best season was season 1. Bad Batch, by the way, is putting out one of the better seasons of animated Star Wars TV I've seen in a while. Probably since the last season of Rebels, I think.
Yeah.
Was it better than the last season of Clone Wars? Is this season of Bad Batch better than the last season of Clone Wars?
Season 3 of the Bad Batch better than Clone Wars.
The last season of Clone Wars, yeah. The new.
I think it's hard to say because it's not finished yet.
Because the last season of Clone Wars also did technically introduce the Bad Batch. Right?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think it is. I think this is the best season of. This might be the best season of Star Wars TV since the Rebels final, like even live action. I don't know. Ahsoka's really up there. Andor's fine, but like Ahsoka probably the only competitor. I don't know.
I don't know.
Let's make a case. If it can finish, if it can stick the landing, I think we're up there. I do need, and I know this is gonna hurt you. I do need one major death though.
I do not. I do not for the sake of my mental health.
No, like for my mental health, sure, no, but like for the sake of like, because like the only thing that can even become close to Rebels and the finale of Rebels is if you have a major death. And again, I still feel pain every time I see Kanan die. But if it, you might want to cover your ears for this one. I think I need to see Crosshair and Hunter both die.
Jesus.
Yeah, I do. I know. A little morbid, but I think that like if they can handle that, if they can do that well, that there's something great there. Like that's like an all-time. This is an all-time season. Like if you can do that well, and you can make Omega go through the emotional, what's the word? Emotional torment that is those two figures in her life dying, ideally in front of her. I think you've got one of the best seasons of Star Wars TV ever.
I do not need to see that, but if you want to see that, have fun.
No, I don't want to see. I'm saying if you want to make one of the best seasons of Star Wars TV, you got to up the ante. So you got to have both her father figures, mentor figures, die in front of her because Rebels, right? What they did, they just killed Kanan. That's not enough. You got to double it. You got to do 2. You got to make us feel even more pain because we don't feel enough pain as it is.
That would be really mean, and I would not appreciate it.
Oh, you would love it. You would hate it, but you'd also love it because it would make you feel so much pain.
It would make me feel things. I would be sending all my therapy bills to Jennifer Corbett.
Yeah.
In the future.
Okay, we'll do live after that happens. We will do live therapy right here, and we can go through the. They're gonna do something like they're gonna kill one of those two.
I thought it was gonna be Echo.
No. They got to kill one of the 2 father figures. They got to do it. They got to do it too. They got to do it, and they're gonna do it. I think Crosshair feels like the more likely candidate, but I could see Hunter dying.
I feel like it could be Hunter.
Like Echo not Echo. Crosshair feels like the person who would like sacrifice himself, but I don't know. They both hurt equally, so I mean, that would I don't know. So now, with that being said, what do you want to see next episode?
Well, next episode is called The Harbinger, and I did a Google search of what that means, and apparently it's an event that precedes another event. So like, I think the example they used were like flowers were the harbinger of spring, like that kind of thing. I don't
It's
know.
an event. It's something that symbolizes a bigger event, basically.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think maybe we'll see Ventress next episode.
I think we'll see a shadow of Ventress. I think Ventress is the big event. I don't know. I think Ventress is going to be the big event. I think we're going to see the kind of lead up to Ventress. I don't think we're going to. I would not be shocked if we saw Ventress, but I don't think we're going to see Ventress, or we will see Ventress to like the end of the episode.
That's fair. Yeah.
I think they're going to lead us along because I think they still got to do some building to get there.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that would work, but I think you can't just show Ventress. You have to kind of build up to it a little bit. So I think that we're going to see the build up to it. I think we're going to get the end of it will be either Ventress or it'll be kind of like the idea of Ventress, and we'll see Ventress in the next episode. But we also do the MVP of the episode. So who was your MVP? This was a hard one.
I think I gotta give it to Fennec Shand because she was just reading them for filth, and it was glorious. The way she was like, or Hunter was like, well, money isn't everything, and she's like, that's because you don't have any. I was gagged, and it, like, bravo to her. Ming Na Wen.
I got to give it to Wrecker. I feel like he's so underappreciated at this point. Like, he is the heart and soul of this team.
And he was giving her all this pass right back. It was beautiful.
Oh yeah, and also like you really realize how useful he is when he's like doing the bombs and stuff. Like you just realize how important he is, and I think he just doesn't get the love he deserves. And so I'm giving him the love now with by saying he's the best. He's the most valuable character.
I would agree, and I think that I think we don't appreciate the intelligence of Wrecker enough because people write him off as dumb. He's not. And I think something that really stood out to me today that I actually had to pause the episode and tweet about it was when they suggest going to find Fennec Shand. It's not Hunter who's the one who's like, Omega can't come with us. Wrecker is the first one to be like, we cannot bring Omega there. That would be dangerous. He's the first one to jump on the absolutely not with our kid. Which I was like, I think we all expect Hunter to be the overprotective dad. It's Wrecker. He was right on that. Like, no, we are not bringing Omega there.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I like Wrecker is an interesting character. Wrecker is someone who will never die because of the type of character he is, where you could kind of monetize him more, and you could bring him back more. So they're never going to kill him, which is good because that makes you feel a little better. But man, I love Wrecker so much. He's so great.
He's great.
We need more Wrecker, honestly. Honestly, I wouldn't be angry if they gave us just a Wrecker Omega spin-off show after this.
That would be fun.
I don't know. I'm assuming Omega survives this show. I think she does because they don't kill if they're young characters.
No. I hope not.
Plus, it would kill us all if they killed Omega. Also, we know she isn't dead, so it wouldn't really hurt that much.
Yeah.
Because she makes money. Anyways, with that being said, thank you so much. I know this is a little bit later than usual. I apologize for that one.
Good.
But we will be back next week to talk about Bad Batch. And then if anything else happens with Star Wars between now and then, we will definitely talk about that stuff too.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you all for watching, and I'm going to end this live stream.